Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dr. Ben Howdiggy. I'm the founding board chair of the Inland Coalition on Aging. My other hat, or my main hat, is I'm the manager of integrated transitional care at Inland Empire Health Plan. We're a Medi-Cal health plan here in San Bernardino, Riverside counties. And I'm so excited to welcome you today because we've got some amazing presenters today that are going to talk to us and share what they're doing. And there's legislative agenda. And as you know, we at the Inland Coalition on Aging, we are a coalition that is active and making changes, making improvements, improving LTSS for older adults, people with disabilities, and caregivers. And we're all about doing, not just meeting and talking, but we're doing. We're making things happen here in the Inland Empire. So, want to hear what is happening at the state level also, and what the California Foundation of Independent Living Centers is doing, because there's very much a lot of alignment between us. Janelli, I can't see everybody on the screen. Would you be able to show everybody on the screen? Maybe it's
I
me.
believe
Is it
that
me?
would be on your end, yeah. And
There
then
you
most
are.
people don't
Now I
have their
can see
cameras on.
everybody. Oh, would love to see you on camera, everyone. Thank you for joining. Tiara, I see you there. Kelly, thank you for joining us on camera. Victoria, no worries if you cannot be on camera, I understand. But thank you so much for joining us. I want to start off really quick by asking a quick question. We are the Inland Coalition on Aging, and as such, we spur discussions and thoughts and ideas by doing icebreakers. And today's icebreaker is, I'm going to put it in the chat. You're welcome to answer verbally or in the chat, but would love to hear what your thoughts are on this icebreaker. So I read this, and this isn't my quote, but I'm going to share it with you. I read this somewhere and thought I'd share it with you. So my neighbor asked why I still use paper maps, because GPS tells you where to go, right? But maps show you where you could go. One is a navigation tool, the other one is a possibility tool. At my age, I've had enough of being directed and being told where to go. I want to see all the roads I haven't taken yet, spread out like promises. What road have you not taken? What road is out there for you? Because it's never too late, right? It's never impossible, right? If we have plans, if we're intentional about our life, about aging, about living well. And so in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, or verbally, maybe a few people can share what road haven't you taken yet? For example, I recently completed a certification as a community health worker. I thought I had finished school 3 years ago with my doctorate in social work, and here I went back to something I had not finished many years ago, something I had wanted to do many, many years ago, right? I've been a peer advocate, I've been a peer counselor in other roles, and same thing as a community health worker, but I'd never gotten certified in that. So I actually went back in January this year and finished last month, and I'm a certified community health worker. So that was a road, that was a possibility in front of me, and I did it. So it's never too late. I want to encourage you to use paper maps whenever possible and find other possibilities. Anybody want to share? Anybody want to share? What possibility what road have you not taken yet? Anybody want to share?
I can share.
Yes.
My name is Salvador Dominguez. I work for Providence Medical Group, behavioral healthcare manager. I love your quote. I never thought it that way. I think in this era where technology, GPS, of course, our brains are getting damaged with we're not remembering anything. Rarely remember some things, and so our attention span is also getting shorter because technology and everything else, of course. So I love your quote. Roads, I think I have a couple of them that I would love to take. You know, first of all, I love gardening. I practice permaculture, and as I learn more and more of it, I would love to get a degree or something in permaculture design. Is working with nature, creating food forests, protecting nature, environment, and everything. So I love that. Another one that I would love to, as well. I don't know much about it, but when I learn about it, I think it's just so. Um, I crave to know more about it, neuroscience. So the connection between mind and body, I love that, and I would love to learn more about that. Those are the two roads that I would definitely would like to take. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
I could share if there's time.
Yes, Victoria.
Victoria Dubb, a commissioner on aging for the city of Riverside. And I think I agree with I think her name was Elizabeth that just spoke, is that mind and that body piece is where I'm seeking. I found now in my life I'm able to go after all things that I enjoy. One example is I love ancient Greece, so I went to go see Odyssey. Not only, and I went down to the Chinese theater alone, had a wonderful time at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm on that path of doing all things that I enjoy because now kids are grown, everybody's doing their thing. So now I get to focus on that mind and that peace and the things that bring me joy. And so, yeah. Thank you for
All,
listening.
all, all the roads you haven't gone down yet. Thank you for sharing, Victoria. Appreciate that. Dan, thank you so much. I see you have an electric organ at home that you found at a yard sale, but you don't know how to play it yet, so I need to take lessons someday. I would love to play the piano someday. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing. Elizabeth, you want to share your comment there?
Sure, I can jump in. So I, as a pastime, have been doing Pilates for years and just started the process of getting my certification to be an instructor, with the intent of being able to adapt exercises for people of different abilities.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you, all of you, for sharing. Thank you for those that shared in the chat. These are examples of aging well, and that's what we're all about here at the Inland Coalition on Aging. Today, I am going to pass the mic over to our presenters. I'm very excited to have Lisa Hayes, the Executive Director of the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers. If you are familiar with our local two independent living centers, Rolling Start, that serves San Bernardino County, and Community Access Center that serves Riverside County. They are members of CFILC, and CFILC is doing the work statewide with all the independent living centers doing amazing work, and we wanted to hear from them today. Happy to have Dan and Russell also with Lisa's here. So I'm going to turn it over to them. And then when they're done, we will definitely share the PowerPoint that they shared with us. We'll also give you some announcements about our action groups towards the end of the meeting. So let's give them a warm virtual round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. And it's such a pleasure to be able to present with you today. As many of you know, I was the executive director for Rolling Start, and recently was selected as the executive director of our state association, the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers. My career has been mostly, interestingly, in managed care. It's only been in the last 7 years that I went to nonprofit. So I have a perspective on a lot of things that might be unique to our movement, the independent living movement. And with that, so I want to introduce my co-presenters that I'm so proud to have as part of CFILC. And Russell, we'll start with you if you want to introduce yourself.
Good morning. I am Russell Dawson Rawlings, and my pronouns are he and him. I am a middle-aged white person and a full-time power chair user. Today, I am wearing a green polo shirt, and behind me is the CFILC background with their programs over on I think that's my left shoulder. And we'll get into that in just a minute. I am the Communications and Strategic Partnerships Manager here at CFILC, and I'll pass it over to Dan.
Good morning. My name is Dan Okenfuss. I am the CFILC Public Policy Manager and happy to be here today. I am a white male with thin blonde gray hair, wearing glasses and a light purple collared shirt. And I also have the CFILC logo background. Thank you.
And I did not give you a visual description. I am a white female, auburn colored hair. I'm wearing glasses. I'm also a full-time manual chair user, and just excited to be with you folks. And let's go to the next slide. Is Thank you. It is Disability Pride Month. So yay, we're excited because of that, to present to you a little bit about disability culture, what CF is doing, and how we support the Centers for Independent Living in the state. And we're going to focus on a lot of our public policy priorities. There's a lot going on in the policy arena, and we'll hopefully we'll be able to leave you with some ideas and some actions that we're hoping that affect every nonprofit in the state. So actually in the country. So with that, we'll go on to the next slide. So what is CFILC? We are a disability-led organization. We're a statewide association of 24 independent living centers, also known as CILS, Centers for Independent Living. There are 28 centers in the state of California. And to be a member, it is not every center chooses to be a member, but we do have the majority of centers in California that are members of our state association. We help to build the capacity of the member centers, and we'll show you how we do that. We provide technical assistance and information and referral for California's Independent Living Network. We serve as the statewide hub for some programs, both AT and disaster preparedness. And we are the strongest advocacy voice for the independent living movement in California. And we'll go to the next slide. So independent living philosophy, we're built on the belief that people with disabilities are experts in their own lives and have the right to make their own choices, direct their own services, and fully participate in their communities. And we do that through peer support, systems change, INR, information and referral, independent living skills, transitions, and that usually includes transitions from nursing homes into community, youth transitions from education into community work or education, assistive technology, housing supports, and caregiver supports. The ILCs work to remove barriers and ensure people with disabilities can live, work, and thrive where and how they choose. And we'll go to the next slide. Our mission statement is the mission of California Foundation for Independent Living Centers is to increase access and equal opportunity for people with disabilities by building the capacity of the independent living centers in California. And we'll go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, we have 24 ILCs serving all regions of California, North, Central, and South. We serve both urban and rural consumers. The independent living centers for the Inland Empire, as Ben mentioned, are Rolling Start. They serve San Bernardino, actually, and Inyo and Mono counties. Their website is there for you, and Community Access Center. Their website is listed. And our membership list, if you want to see which centers are members of the association, that link is there for you as well. And we'll go to the next slide. Our programs, we have public policy, ability tools, disaster preparedness. It's called DDAR, Disability Disaster Access and Resources, and youth organizing. We want to engage our youth as they are the next generation of people with disabilities, and we're excited about that. The focus is educating, empowering, and mobilizing California's future leaders. And we have a youth coordinator. Their name is Jem at CFILC. Anytime you want to reach out to Jem, they would be happy to support. And let's go to the next slide. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Russell, who's going to talk a little bit more detail about our programs. Russell, floor is yours.
Great. All right, so we'll do a bit of a deep dive here. The first program that we will talk about is our Ability Tools program, the Assistive Technology program. Ability Tools is California's Assistive Technology, or AT Act program. The mission of Ability Tools is to connect Californians with disabilities to assistive technology devices, tools, and services that increase independence and make everyday life easier. Ability Tools is the state federally designated AT Act program. It's administered by CFILC through state and federal funding. It is a statewide network working with the independent living centers and community partners, and serves people with disabilities of all ages throughout California. Next slide, please. This is how Ability Tools helps California. First of all, there are device lending and demonstration centers. These are places where people can try assistive technology before purchasing, because assistive technology can be sometimes prohibitively expensive for individuals. And this allows folks to explore solutions that meet individual needs. So people meet with the AT program coordinators and are able to try out some of the devices before committing to purchasing. Also in the same line, we also have assistive technology reuse programs. These are opportunities to connect people with refurbished devices at little or no cost. And then we have a program called Keep the Wheels Rolling Repair Fund. Now, this is a program that supports empowering organizations to repair and refurbish equipment and help get them out back into the community. And then finally, the core of the Ability Tool program, like all of our programs, focuses on training and technical assistance. These are opportunities to receive education on assistive technology, accessibility and inclusion, information and referral through the Ability Tools staff. And finally, we've recently launched a communities of practice model that allows professionals from across California to share resources, trainings, and best practices. And these new communities of practice are open to interested community members at any organization that would be interested in learning more or participating in our statewide assistive technology work. Next slide, please. And why the work that Ability Tools does matters. Assistive technology can help people age safely in their own homes, maintain their independence, reduce the caregiver burden, access employment and education, communicate more effectively, prevent falls and injury, and participate fully in community life. Next slide. All right, our next program, as Lisa mentioned, is Disability Disaster Access and Resources. You'll hear us frequently refer to it as the DDAR program. The mission of the DDAR program is to keep Californians with disabilities safe before, during, and after disasters. And it again is delivered through with California's independent living centers in partnership with the California Public Utility Companies, 211, local emergency management, and other community partners. Next slide, please. And this is what our DDAR centers and DDARCs do. They provide emergency preparedness and planning, disability disaster response and recovery assistance, help coordinate and locate accessible transportation options, coordinate hotel and shelter coordination during a disaster. So for folks that rely on powered equipment, many times during a disaster, those devices are unstable, the power grid is probably unreliable. So we assist people in getting to hotels and shelter where power is available and can be uninterrupted to keep people safe and healthy. We also provide wellness checks before, during, and after disaster, and battery backup assistance for people who can benefit from backup batteries to keep their assistive technology going. This is a program that was what most people saw at the beginning of our DDAR program. It is now just one in a series of tools that we use to help keep people safe during a disaster. And finally, information and resource coordination. So helping folks connect to larger systems that can support during disaster. Next slide, please. And this is who we serve. So DDAR supports people with disabilities, older adults, and these are individuals with access and functional needs. So it's kind of a term that's used in the emergency response world that we may not see or be very familiar with. But access and functional needs are just anyone who needs some sort of support for their disability or other aging condition during a disaster. And also it supports caregivers and families. And this is really critical because a lot of times caregivers and families don't get a lot of support. And again, our goal is to help people prepare before disasters happen and provide critical support and service to ensure safety and independence throughout an emergency. Next slide, please. And then the fourth program is our Youth Organizing Disabled Futures, or YO Disabled Futures. This is a program for youth that are aged less than 29 years, so anyone under the age of 29 is invited. It is coordinated and facilitated by CFILC's statewide youth organizer in partnership with the California ILC network. It is youth-led and youth-driven. The core part of YO is advocacy and education, and topics include self-advocacy, community organizing, independent living skills, navigating education and employment. And we are currently working on rebuilding our website. And as Lisa mentioned earlier, you can connect with our wonderful statewide youth organizer. Their name is Jem Moore, and the email here is jem, Jem, @cfilc.org. The next slide. All right, and at this point, I will turn it over to the rock star of the day, Dan Okenfuss, our public policy manager.
Rockstar. I like that. Good afternoon. No, actually, still morning. I'm sorry. Yeah, Dan Okenfuss once again, CFILC, Public Policy Manager, and I'm going to talk to you about what I think is one of the core functions of the independent living movement, and that's advocacy through public policy. And it's the core of our mission. If you trace back the independent living community history, it all goes back to the need for providing services and supports for people with disabilities so they can live comfortably in their homes, their schools, their businesses. So that is still the core of our mission at CFILC. And just to break it down, the independent living community in California, we operate out of the state plan for independent living, or the SPIL. And there's forms or two styles of advocacy: individual advocacy, teaching and empowering individuals to advocate for themselves. So self-advocacy, fighting, teaching our consumers to be, better at, making sure they get the accommodations for their home or office, or improving in housing, improving in transportation for their individual well-being. Then there's systems advocacy, and that's what I do the most at CFILC, and that is tackling the larger public policy arena, and whether it's on the federal or state level, and also providing guidance to our consumers on the local level. We want to change policies and practices to promote access and eliminate barriers. And our approach at CFILC is the combining the variables of education and community organizing and mobilization and legislative advocacy. And that helps develop not just myself, but our thousands of consumers to push for systems change, systems advocacy. And I'm going to talk about some of the steps we do at the state level. Next slide. We work with our 24 member independent living centers that Lisa mentioned. And thanks again for our Rolling Start and CAC attendees here in the audience for all the great work you do. We develop positions and advocate for our consumers. And it's not a single it's not a single decision maker like Lisa. It's actually we work with our member ILCs and executive directors. We review and recommend positions. And then we have our CFILC Public Policy Committee, which is a focus group of our executive directors with the goal of delivering a unified message and advocacy strategy. We partner with many state and national allies on these proposals to achieve success. Next slide. Some of our advocacy partners include, I'm just not going to name all of them, they're all listed here for your browsing. But, on the national level, our mothership is the National Council on Independent Living, NCIL. Lisa's going to get into some more detail on when some of the battles were fighting on the federal government level. And I also want to talk about a connection that is very important to all of us here in this audience is our Aging and Disability Resource Connections Network, the ADRCs. And hats off to the those who are working with the ADRC of Riverside County and the ADRC of San Bernardino County. That is very important for our role in combining aging and disability and making sure there's no wrong door for consumers to obtain the care they need. We also work with various coalitions and collaborations. One of them is the California Collaborative on Long-Term Services and Supports. I'm actually a member of the board of directors for that organization, and we combine with aging and disability and other entities and disability advocates to have a larger audience, a larger focused message. And then we also, of course, work with our AAAs, and there's a new alliance that just popped up in the last couple of years, the California Disability Leadership Alliance, and we've hosted a day of action at at the state capitol every May, and we just had our second one this May, and it was a great gathering of hundreds of advocates. So we had a rally at the state capitol here in Sacramento, where we're based, and then we then proceeded to go meet our state legislators to talk about our agenda. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, some of the core advocacy issues, and I mentioned, important for keeping the funding of our ADRC program. That includes the larger goal of advocating for funding expansion of services for people with disabilities in the state budget and beyond. You might hear about the state budget. It's starts out in January and then moves into the May revise, and every step in the process, we try to unite our voices in the independent living movement to fight for programs that are dear to our consumers. And also, one of the big ones is the IHSS program, the In-Home Support and Services program. It seems like it's always on the chopping block every spring, and so it's very redundant, kind of like Groundhog Day, but there we are, always defending cuts, and we just celebrated, in last month in June with the passage of the budget and avoiding most major cuts to the program. We also mentioned as one of our AT programs the access and repair and reuse of durable medical equipment, such as wheelchairs. And one of the big accomplishments we achieved a couple years ago was a passage of a Right to Repair Act, allowing users of power wheelchairs to go to any independent repair shop to get their equipment repaired at a fraction of the cost and also a fraction of the time spent than having it go through the main original manufacturer or also dealing with Medicaid, Medi-Cal, and getting approval for that. So we're working on getting a higher threshold of repairs before you need to get a prior authorization on that. Next slide, please. So I'm going to focus on one of my asks to our community here, our partners in aging and disability. So as there are thousands of bills that are introduced every year in the California State Legislature, and we have assembly members and senators that represent our areas. And so my job is to kind of pair up a lot of our independent living centers with their state legislators so we can kind of contact them and let them know about the issues that are very important to us. And there are three bills that are still active in this year's session. And the first one is Senate Bill 1261 by Assembly-Member Laird, and that is a Aging and Disability Resource Connection Program. We call it the Fix It Bill. It deals with the circumstances of, say, the AAA or the ILC, for whatever reason, can no longer perform the duties of being in the ADRC. It allows the partnership to continue ensuring continuity of services for older adults, caregivers, and people with disabilities to continue the funded ADRC work. So that is moving through the Assembly Appropriations Committee, and we are a co-sponsor of that bill with C4A,
Hey,
the
Dan,
California. Yes.
before you go, I don't know if everybody in the room is familiar with. So an ADRC in California, in statute, is a partnership between the Area Agency on Aging and the Independent Living Center. That's not true in any other state, which makes us very unique. So in order for there to be an ADRC, the county and the Independent Living Center have to agree to work together. We call it a forced marriage, but it's sometimes been a little bit challenging because aging has their own philosophy and disability has their philosophy. So we've, I know in San Bernardino have worked really well with our county, and I know Riverside does as well. But that partnership is what makes the ADRC. And what happens sometimes if one of the partners decide, or for whatever reason can't continue doing what they're doing, if the AAA decides to it's not enough funding this year and we're going to have to close our doors. What happens, why we're calling this a fix it bill, at the point currently, what would happen is the ADRC would just cease to exist when one partner comes out for whatever reason. And we don't want that because then thousands and hundreds of thousands of consumers who are getting services through the ADRC could no longer get them. The funding would stop, everything. And so this fix it bill is so the remaining party, let's just hypothetically say it's the Independent Living Center, would continue on the ADRC until the California Department on Aging can do an RFP to get another person who does the aging. And it would be in the reverse as well. If the Center for Independent Living had to close for whatever reason, currently what would happen is the ADRC would cease to exist, funding would stop. And what this allows would then the AAA to continue on until CFILC or the centers would put an RFP out for another independent living. This way, it would ensure that the consumers would not stop getting services. I just wanted to kind of give a little bit more context. Sorry, Dan, didn't mean to.
That's all right. I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
that. And so it's kind of like, marriage counseling was what the bill would be establishing, allowing the partnership to kind of continue on a temporary level and avoid a full-fledged divorce. So anyway,
That's sorry. We find it funny.
yes. Okay, so that bill is still in the process here. The next bill is really of local interest to the audience here, and of course statewide. But this is Senate Bill 837. It's called the Aging and Disability Emergency Preparedness Act, and it's by our good friend Senator Eloise Gomez Reyes, state senator, and her team put together this bill to kind of add another core service for ADRCs to encourage them to provide disaster and emergency preparedness training designed to help older adults, people with disabilities prepare for emergency events. So it kind of works with our DDAR program. We have a lot of resources for emergency preparedness, and by elevating this with the ADRC network, we can kind of share resources here. And we're looking forward to that bill, which is also in the Appropriations Committee of the Assembly. If you want details on the legislative process, I'm available to speak ad nauseum about that. But in the meantime, I just want to zip through this because I know we're getting pressed in time here. And then finally, Assembly Bill 2037 by Assemblymember Patterson. This is, and there's a typo, it's not wildlife mitigation, it's wildfire mitigation.
I was
As,
confused about that.
as much as I love the animals of the forest here, we're more concerned about how to protect our homes and communities from wildfire. So yes, I think that might have been autocorrect. Anyway, so this is a grant program. Speaking of emergency preparedness, if you live out in, high wildfire prone areas, they are strongly encourage that homeowners prepare their homes and their yards by mitigating against brush fires. So this creates a grant program for qualified individuals with disabilities to apply for a grant to harden their homes and reducing wildfire risks on their properties. And it'll be eligible for seniors and individuals with disabilities. The grant funds can be used for activities such as vegetation management, tree removal, debris disposal, and installation of other fire-resistant measures. And the catch is that a lot of seniors and people with disabilities, we don't have the physical means of doing this ourselves. So you can use these grants to hire contractors to help harden your homes from wildfire. And that bill is still active. It's in the Senate Appropriations Committee. And this is on an individual level. I see this in the chat here from Elizabeth. Yeah, so an individual can apply for the grant through their local area agency on aging that'll be administering the program. They're going to start out as a pilot program, but the goal is to, and hopefully with more appropriations for it, to expand it, across the state. And then finally, I wanted to encourage that we have a advocacy alert system on our website, and that allows you to sign up. And if there's a bill that needs the extra push to get across the finish line and onto the governor's desk, we have this advocacy alert system that pegs your address and matches you with your state assembly member or state senator. Next slide.
All right,
And I'll take
before
it to
I go
Lisa.
into on the federal side, you have a question from Ernie Regularly? Ernie, go ahead.
Yeah, the grant mitigation program you're talking about, there's currently an effort that is very similar to what you're describing, which is expanding PACE. If you're familiar with the old PACE program for home improvement, which could otherwise be described as a way to lose your home in a disaster. Um, I just honestly I had to hear what you said before I figured out you were talking about something different. So I would bring it to your attention because one of the other coalitions we're attempting, and I don't know if we've killed it yet, but what you said was confusing to me. It is positive, but it is can be confused with something that I know that Consumer Coalition I'm part of tried to get rid of because it hurts seniors and folks with disabilities, not helping. So, um, and that program is there's a lot of predation upon seniors and folks with disabilities. So I would, if you are pushing for that, and you're talking with your members, just know that there are a lot of senior scams out there, and you just described one perfectly. So help them distinguish between the bad and the good.
Thank you, Ernie. Those are good points there. Yeah, this is going to require a lot of oversight from the local AAA to kind of administer. I guess the program would be going through them where they can apply through their AAA to receive the grants to cover this. But you're right, there is no like oversight of the contractor that that is asking for to help the property owner.
Yeah, I
So
don't want to
that's.
hijack your presentation, but that's where things go off the rails because
Mhm.
oftentimes it involves a tablet. Somebody's not horribly literate. a college kid who doesn't know what the hell they're even doing, and they end up with a loan after being told that it is free. So, and we have lots of cases for that.
Mhm.
So just
Okay.
thought I'd bring it to your attention because you can off-ramp the problem.
Okay. Let me get your information here at the end here. I
Sure.
can
I
mention.
mean, yeah, like I said, I'm happy to discuss it,
Yep.
but
Because
don't want to waste time
I'm
here.
working with the author's office on, fine tuning the bill before it's final, before it goes to the governor's desk. Maybe there's some sort of a consumer protection language we can drop in there.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Great question. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to talk about an issue that actually affects every nonprofit in the nation. And this is something that we're working on a national level with our National Council on Independent Living. A lot of attention has been drawn to this and some really big concerns about it. And it has to do with the proposed Office of Management and Budget grant rule. I don't know how many of you have read this, the proposal. There was a very short timeline for comments on the rule, and it's very, very concerning. The comment period was maybe 2.5 weeks, and interestingly enough, there was over half a million responses to this. And so we're hoping that it gets slowed down because has a pretty significant impact on nonprofits in the Inland Empire, in the state of California, and in every nation, every state in the nation. So the OMB has proposed sweeping changes to rules governing virtually all federal grants and cooperative agreements. The proposal received nearly, as I mentioned, half a million public comments, which is an unusually high number for a grants management rule. And if finalized, this rule is expected to take effect October 1st this year, which is very concerning. And then while legal challenges are anticipated, organizations really should prepare for implementation. So I wanted to discuss this briefly and give you guys some talking points and some advocacy opportunities that you can use. And we'll go to the next slide. So what will change? Easier termination or suspension of grants, even during the grant period. Expanded restrictions on how federal funds might be used, including certain outreach, advocacy, accessibility, conference attendance, memberships, training, and equity-related activities. If your organization does any of this, you need to pay attention. Greater involvement of political leadership in funding decisions. Increased compliance requirements, approvals, documentation, and reporting. You think you might have, difficult reporting requirements now. If this passes, this could really be a challenge. Less predictability from multi-year grants and long-term planning. Many of us signed grant agreements for 3 years. If we're told that something we're doing is not in alignment with the administration, funds can be terminated mid grant cycle, and it's very, very scary. Let's go to the next slide. So what could this mean for community-based organizations and the potential impacts? Some of the things that you may need to do or take a look at is review your websites, publications, your blogs, grant materials for consistency with grant requirements. Often a lot of us sign these agreements and don't look at the fine print, and it's going to be really important that we're following our grant requirements. Ensure reports and deliverables closely reflect approved grant language. Align grant applications with RFPs, state plans, and federal guidance documents. Prepare for increased monitoring, documentation, and approval requirements. Build flexibility into budgets and long-term planning in case funding changes occurs. These are the potential impacts and what you may need to do. And if you go to the next slide, but what can you do right now? This is hopefully we can leave you with something to take a look at. Stay informed as the rulemaking and litigation moves forward. Review current federally funded programs and identify areas that may require policy or communication updates. Work closely with state and federal funding partners to make sure you understand the expectations. A lot of our centers for independent living are funded through the Department of Rehabilitation. We've requested them to meet with all of us to help us ensure that we can that we're complying with what the administration is expecting to see. Whoever you're funded by, ask and encourage those meetings because this is something we all need to participate in. Maintain strong documentation and ensure activities clearly align with your grant objectives. Continue collaborating across the Aging and Disability Network to share resources and best practices. I know in the Inland Empire, one of the reasons why I accepted the job at Rolling Start when I was there was because, we knew how San Bernardino is so underfunded for the area that we have to serve. You have mountains, you have the high desert, which might as well be another state. You have the valley area, and it is, collaboration is how you manage to survive and how you're able to serve the community. I know during Snowmageddon, we partnered with so many different people to help people in the mountain area in Crestline, Big Bear, and to really we worked with the health plans, with the 211, with aging, with the Department of with OES, Office of Emergency Services, to ensure that the consumers that we all served got food, medication, things that they need. Collaboration doesn't happen in a vacuum. It has to be intentional, and to so that we can all ensure that we're going to survive this. That collaboration is extraordinarily important. If you have not heard about the OMB rule, I encourage you to look it up. And if you want some additional information, if you want to email our public policy, Dan, we're happy to, help you with that. We're finding out and learning about it and trying to figure out how to navigate it, just like I'm sure everyone else is. But that probably right now is probably one of the biggest federal threats that not just threat to the independent living centers, but to every nonprofit, anyone who receives, and for profit that receives federal funding. And that, which is why I wanted to bring that. There's some other things going on. Obviously, I feel like sometimes we're playing whack-a-mole with all trying to keep up with all the federal regulations. Olmsted, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Olmsted decision, which basically was a Supreme Court decision that basically stated that states, you need, people with disabilities, older adults, regardless of the disability, have the right to live in the community that they choose to. And that is under threat currently. 504 is under threat. If you work with IDEA or do, 504 plans with students, all of this is under threat right now. There's so many different things happening at once that we need to really pay attention. If you have public policy folks in your organizations, engage them constantly. And we would just really encourage a lot of the communications. Any work groups that I know Ben was telling us that you guys have a policy work group. This is where a lot of these, if you would like us to join or help that and keep you updated as much as with the information that we get, we're happy to do that. But there's a lot going on, and this is a time when we all really need to not be in silos and work together to try to navigate. And I think that's all we had for you right now. We wanted to open up to any questions. This is any follow-up that you would like to do. Bookmark our website. Subscribe to the Artichoke, where it's our organizational newsletter. You'll get a lot of really interesting information. Follow us on the socials. And the Ability to Use program. Assistive technology, as Russell talked about, is critical. And because we are the statewide funder for AT, and we support the Centers for Independent. We support anybody that needs AT. The goal is to every Californian that needs assistive technology, we want to make sure that they get it. There's a lot of programs that you don't necessarily have to have be a part of an independent living center to participate in. And so if you have questions on that, we're happy to support you. But encourage you to connect with those independent living centers as they can kind of be a direct line to getting you the support that you might need. These is our contact information. We're happy to help in any way we can. And with that, I'll just thank you and leave it open to any questions.
Thank you, Lisa, Russell, and Dan. Appreciate it so much. There is so much information there, so many programs, services, activities, and ways to get involved with the California Foundation of Independent Living Centers. I encourage you to at least, at the very minimum, sign up for their advocacy alerts. That'll help you to be aware of what's going on. As they said, we, CFILC, and many organizations that they partner with, including us, and the Inland Coalition on Aging is up to date on some of these things, and we're still learning of some changes and upcoming things that are coming up. But we have to be in the know so we can act on these things. So I encourage you to sign up. It is open to questions. Any questions for Lisa, Russell, or Dan? Feel free to put them in the chat also. I think it was a great presentation. That's why there's no questions. Very thorough. The PowerPoint was very clear, and we will definitely get this out to everybody. Anybody have any questions before we move on? Let's give them a big round of applause, virtual applause. Thank you, Lisa, Dan, and Russell. We do want to work with you, and maybe if you are one of our leads for our advocacy groups or one of our action groups, and you'd like to invite them to be part of your groups or just present to your groups, get more information from them. I know they're very willing to work with us. And so thank you again to CFILC. Lisa, we miss you in the Inland Empire, but we wish you well. Sacramento, Dan and Russell, thank you for all that you do and educating us as a coalition. We got an amazing group of people here in the Inland Empire. This little tiny group started with just a few people, and now we're in the hundreds of organizations. I see that the Social Security Administration is with us. I see that Riverside Legal Aid is with us. I see that the Brill Institute is with us. Many organizations here represented here. I just want to acknowledge all of our partner organizations. They make up the coalition, and they make up the success that we've had in implementing, developing a Inland Empire Master Plan for Aging, and many other accomplishments. But we've just started. We've just started. We just barely got our map, right? Our map, not GPS. We have an Inland Empire Master Plan or a map that is going to take us where we haven't gone yet. So thank you again, CFILC. Appreciate your time. We are going to move over to, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Russell and Dan. Please feel free to stay with us if you'd like. We just have our last thing on the agenda is we have updates about all of our groups, all of our action teams. Very exciting work being done in all of those action teams. If you're not part of those teams, feel free to, I'm going to put the link in the chat so you can join one of our action teams. We've got a housing action team, transportation, Alzheimer's and dementia and caregiving, a behavioral health and social support and advocacy, another group on safety, respect, and equity in aging. So we have something for all of you that are here in the room. So hopefully you'll consider joining one of our groups. I'm going to put the link in the chat. And Elizabeth, take it away.
Hi, y'all. I'm so excited to have you here today, and I wanted to invite you to join our action teams. We have our August teams coming up. We'll have housing, August 11th from 9 to 10, safety, respect, and equity action team, which is August 11th from 3 to 4. And we're currently seeking a chair for that action team. And we also have some exciting updates on our emergency preparedness training for those who are aging, disabled, and caregivers within the Inland Empire. We have a caregiving, Alzheimer's, and dementia action team. They meet Wednesday, August 12th from 11 to 12. And they're a fun group. We'd like to invite you out. And then the Advocacy Action Team meets Friday, August 14th from 10 to 11. We're also currently seeking a chair for that Advocacy Action Team. So if you're interested in participating, you'll have us here to guide you through the chair process, but we'd love to have you steer the direction and decide what we're going to be pursuing in the next year. We have a behavioral health and social support action team, which is Tuesday, August 18th from 1:30 to 2:30. Their focus is on intergenerational activities this year, and we're working on reaching out to groups that are facilitating those activities. And we also have a transportation action team. We are working on doing regular email updates and gathering together a group to be participating regularly in monthly meetings for that group. And we just provided feedback on the SBCTA ADA plan. So that's one of the updates of what we've been doing. So if you'd like information on this, I'll put it in the chat. Please email info@inlandaging.org, and I'd be happy to add you to an action team and help you get oriented. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that update and invitation. All of you are welcome to join a committee. You don't have to commit to meeting every single time. I understand we're all busy, but sign up, and that way you get updates and are able to, whenever you're able to join, you can be a part of the work. Be part of what's happening here in the Inland Empire. Be part of coordinating, integrating, and improving long-term servant supports for older adults, people with disabilities, and caregivers. Be part of the Aging Well movement. I love the message today from California Foundation of Independent Living Centers about independent living. That's what we're all about. That's what we're supporting, independent living, aging well. Thank you for all that you do. With that, our next meeting is going to be on August 25th, my birthday. And unfortunately, I will not be here because I'll be at the California Commission on Aging meeting in Sacramento. But you'll be in good hands, and I look forward to seeing you. And remember, your homework is to identify places you haven't been, the roads you haven't traveled yet. Share with us next time we see you. Have a good rest of the day, everyone. Take care.